Hi everyone, this is Ashwin. In this video, we're going to analyze and predict the sales of BigMart. Let's see the data set. The data scientists at BigMart have collected 2013 sales data for 1,559 products across 10 stores in different cities. Also, certain attributes of each product and stores have been defined. The aim is to build a predictive model and find out the sales of each product at a particular store. This dataset is collected in US countries. For privacy reasons, they anonymize the dataset, so we will be having some indirect values for locations and some other item types. Using this model, BigMart will try to understand the properties of products and stores which play a key role in increasing sales. Okay, these are the dataset attributes. In this dataset, we have a total of 12 attributes. 11 is for the input attributes and the remaining one is for output attribute. That is item outlet sales. Here the item identifier, we have a unique product ID. For item weight, we have the weight of products in terms of grams. For the fat content, we have a category type here, low fat, high fat, like that we'll be having the content. Item visibility, the percentage of total area displayed in the particular store. So that's the visibility. The category to which the product belongs. We have different types of items here, like dairy products, fruits and vegetables, breads, meats, like that. We have various kinds of item types. Item MRP is the price of the product. Outlet identifier is nothing but the store identifier. We have a unique store ID. Outlet establishment here, that is the foundation of the store. Outlet size, the size of the outlet in terms of area. Outlet location types, the type of city which is located, whether it is a tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3. Based on that, we will have the outlet location type like urban, rural, like that we can have different tiers based on the data set. Outlet type is just a grocery or some of a supermarket. We have only two outlet types. And finally, we have the output attribute, item outlet sales, sales of the product in that particular store. This is the outcome variable we have to predict. Now let's import the modules. Import pandas as PD, import numpy as mp, import seaborn as sns, import matplotlib as plot, import warnings and matplotlib inline. To visualize the graph instantly, we are using this inline function. Finally, we need to set a parameter for warnings. Warnings dot filter warnings ignore. Pandas is used to load the dataset, and NumPy is used to do operations with arrays and matrices. Seaborn and Matplotlib is used to visualize the dataset. Warnings module is used to avoid some unnecessary information printed by the modules. Okay, let's run it. Okay, in the first time it's just printing. Let's run it again. Now it won't display anything. Okay, after importing the module, we will load the dataset. Df equals pd.read csv train.csv. Let's print the top 5 of the dataset. The dataset link is available in the description, or you can download the data in Kaggle or Analytics Vidya. Let's run this code. Now these are the data that we have here. Already we are seeing some null values. We will do lots of pre-processing in this dataset. It will be very useful in many Kaggle competitions. Okay, let's do some basic analysis of the dataset. df.describe. Now it's displaying some numerical values that are available in the dataset: item weight, item visibility, MRP, establishment year, outlet sales. As you can see, item weight is missing some values. Here you can see the count. Other variables having 8,500, but item weight have values around 7,000. So we need to fill the missing values here. And we have a certain range. From this statistical function, we can make use of this range values. while filling the missing values in the data set. Like mean, minimum and maximum values can be used to fill the missing values in the data set. Now let's check the data type of the attributes df.info. We have 12 attributes and float attributes and int attributes are there. These are some numerical attributes and most of the other attributes are object type. So these are some categorical attributes which we need to process separately. And now let's check some unique values. This will give us statistical information, statistical info. This will give us data type of attributes. Now we will check how many unique values in the data set. Check unique values in data set. df.apply. We will use a lambda function, lambda x len of x dot unique. Let's run it. As you can see, for the corresponding column, we have this number of unique values. We won't be using item identifier that much while training the model. And as you can see, some other items have so many unique values. This means it is a numerical type like item weight, item visibility, item MRP, and outlet sales. And other variables are categorical variables. That finishes our general information about the data set. Now let's do the pre-processing. First, let's check how many null values are there. Check for null values. df dot is null dot sum. Run it. So we have two attributes with so many missing values, that is item weight and outlet size. Okay. Now let's check for categorical attributes. What are the types we have? Check for categorical attributes. From the information we have, object data type or categorical values. Let's pick that corresponding columns. Let's create a list for categorical columns. Cat call equals an empty list. Now for x in df dot d types dot index, if df dot d types of x equals object cat call dot append x. This will iterate the data types of the indexes. If the column is of object type, so the for loop is getting the columns from the data types of the data set, and we are checking the data type of the corresponding column. If it is equal to object, we are adding that column to the categorical columns. Let's print it also, run it. Now these are the categorical columns we have. Okay, let's leave some space. From these categorical columns, you can see item identifier and outlet identifier is there. We don't need those two, so we will remove that from the list. Cat call dot remove. Now this item identifier. Similarly, we need to do this for outlet identifier. Outlet identifier. Now let's print it. Now we have the necessary categorical columns. Now let's print the contents in that. Print the categorical columns. For call in categorical columns, print that particular column. For that particular columns, we need to know how many types we have. That will be print df of call dot value counts. This value counts will be very useful in displaying the number of counts for that particular values. Okay, after that we will leave a new line. Let's print it. Now these are the categorical columns and the corresponding values. First we have item fat content. As you can see, low fat is repeated again and again, like low fat, LF and low fat. So we need to combine these three into two, and regular is also repeated. We need to combine these attributes into a single attributes because it is representing the same information. Next, item types. We have various item types here and all have reasonable number of counts. For the outlet size, we have three types: small, medium, and high. For the location type, we have three tiers: tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Maybe we can assume this is urban, semi-urban, and rural. For the outlet type, we have four categories, that is supermarket type 1, 2, 3, and the last one is grocery store. You can combine all the supermarket into a single type, or you can use it as it is because all the types have reasonable number of values. If the values are so less, like less than 100 means we can combine those values. It will definitely increase our prediction. We need to test each of those analysis while testing the model. It will be a very useful insights while we deploy this model for production. Okay, we checked all the categorical columns now. First, we have to fill the null values. We have item weight and outlet size. Let's fill these values now. Fill the missing values. You can directly get the mean of that particular column and fill it using that. But here we are going to go in depth. So I'm going to calculate the mean based on the item identifier. So I'm going to use pivot table function that is inside the pandas. It will be very useful for creating new categorical columns and filling those missing values based on the category. Item weight mean equals df dot pivot table. Now we need to specify the values. Values equals item underscore weight. This is the column value. We are going to get the mean, and based on what we are going to get the mean. If you just specify the values, it will take a general average of all the values. Now I'm going to specify the index. Index equals item identifier. Based on the item identifier, it will group all the item weights and average it. It will give us a better value than the overall average. Okay, let's print that also. Item weight mean to see what is inside. Yeah. Now for the corresponding item identifier, we have the item weight. So for this identifier, we have the average weight of 11. Like that, we have found this for all the item identifiers. Now we need to get the information of the missing values, like which row has the missing value. We will store that information in a new variable, missbool equals df of item weight dot is null. We will display this too. For this row, it doesn't have a missing value, so it is represented by false. If that row has a missing value means it will be true. Based on that, we will fill those missing values. Now let's fill the missing values for I comma item in enumerate. We are going to iterate based on item identifier. Df of item identifier if missbool of I. For that particular row, we are checking the Boolean value. If it is true means we will go to the condition. We need to fill the missing values of item weight. So df of item weight of I that represents the corresponding row, item weight mean dot location of that item. This item represents the item identifier. In these values, it will search for this particular item. Based on that particular item, we will get the value. To get the value, we will use item weight, item weight. So as you can see here, this is the index value. We are using this index value to find the particular location. Let's say NZZ30. We have only single column here, that is item weight. We can also include multiple attributes. So we have multiple columns. To get that particular column, we will specify the particular column after that. So this condition will get the average weight of that particular item and assign it on the particular row. Let's run it. As you can see, it's throwing an error because this particular key is not available in the mean weight. This is possible when all the item identifiers have the missing values. To avoid this situation, we will add another condition. If item in item weight mean, if it's available in that pivoted table means we will assign that value, or else take this and assign it with 0 because we don't have any information on that particular weight. Now let's run this again. Now it filled all the missing values. But we have so many missing values with 0. You can delete that entire row if you want, or you can leave it as it is. Let's check again whether we have some missing values. Df of item weight dot is null dot sum. Now we have 0. So the missing values are filled with mean weight of the item. Okay, still we need some space. Now we need to check for another attribute which have some missing values. Let's check it. Here outlet size have missing values. So we are going to fill this missing values based on outlet type 2. We are going to use pivot table function again. Based on the outlet type, we are getting the most common in the outlet size, that is the mode function in statistics. Let's do that now. Outlet size mode equals df dot pivot table. Values will be outlet size. So outlet size. Now we need to specify the column we are going to aggregate. Columns equals outlet type. Now the aggregation function, AGG function. These are all some input parameters. You have to go to the documentation of pivot table to get more detailed information about this. Aggregate function equals, we're going to create a lambda function, lambda x dot mode of 0. In mode, we will have some two values. To get the mode value, we will use this index operation of 0. Okay, let's display this. Run it. Now for the corresponding outlet type, we have the outlet size. These are the mode values of the corresponding outlet type. Because of the categorical variable, we are going for mode. If it's numerical variable means we are going for mean. Instead of mean, you can also use median. It depends on your way of analysis. So make sure you do all the analysis if you want. Now let's fill the missing values. As usual, let's create the variable called missbool equals df of outlet size dot is null. So it will have Boolean values of the corresponding rows. Now we need to fill the missing values. Df dot location of messbool. So in this location operation in the subscript, we can define a condition here, but we have the Boolean values. So we can directly input the Boolean values. Apart from that, you can also specify some conditions here directly. So comma, we are going to store the particular column, that is outlet size. It will automatically get that particular column, that is outlet size, and check if it's true means it will directly assign this particular value on the right. Again, df.location messbool outlet type, because based on the outlet type we are assigning the values. Again, we need to apply the lambda function. Apply lambda x outlet size mode of x. Based on this Boolean value, it will get the outlet type. It may be grocery store or supermarket. Outlet size mode of that particular type will give the corresponding value. If the outlet type is grocery store means outlet size mode of grocery store is small. So it will return small. For the corresponding row, it will assign that outlet size. Okay, let's run this now. Let's check the null values. Df of outlet size dot is null dot sum. Now it's 0. We filled all the null values. And one more thing, here we have assigned 0. Instead of 0, if you have no values means you can use negative values or some average value of the items. So here instead of 0, I'll just assign the mean of the item weight, mp dot mean df of item weight. Let's run this again. Okay, now all the zeros will be filled with the mean item weight of the values. If you don't want to do this means you can delete the entire row, but we will lose some part of the data because of deletion. So to avoid that, I'm using the mean of all the item weights. Similarly, we need to check for item visibility, because last time I checked it has some 0 values. So sum of df of item visibility equals 0. Run it. See, we have 526 values of 0. Let's fill that with the mean value. Df dot location of colon, it means all the rows, item visibility dot replace zeros with the mean value, that is df of item visibility dot mean. Pandas also have a mean function. You can use that, or you can use numpy mean function. Both are same. So it will fill the 0 values with the mean value, and we need to fill it in place. In place equals true. In place means it will keep the changes. If you don't specify this attribute means you need to assign like this. Df of item visibility, like that we need to assign. Instead of that, you can use this. So this will be replace zeros with mean. Let's run it. Now let's check this again. Now it's 0. Okay. So that's the basic pre-processing we have done in the data set. Now we have to aggregate some values in the item fat content. Let's see the item fat content type. So we have low fat and regular. These are some other representation of the same category. We will combine this to the same value. Let's do that now. Combine item fat content. DF of item fat content equals DF of again item fat content dot replace. We will create a dictionary to represent the old columns with new columns. Create a dictionary, that is old column will be LF, new column will be low fat. Low fat. Next, regular. New column will be again regular with full word. And the last one is again low fat. Low fat. We will change it to the same value. Okay, now that is done. Let's check the value counts of the item fat content. TF of item fat content dot value counts. Now all the items are aggregated into two categories, that is low fat and regular. Now we have done all the pre-processing steps in the dataset. Now we can create new attributes from the available attributes. The first one will be, see, from the item identifier, we can extract a new category. This represents food, this represents drink, and NC represents non-consumable. Like that, we can define a new category. Let's create that now. Let's leave some space. Let's name it as new item type, DF of new item type equals, we need to get the first two letters from the item identifier. So DF of item identifier dot apply, create a lambda function, lambda x of 2. So it will get the first two letters of that particular attribute, and we will store it in the new item type. Okay, let's display this too. Now as you can see, we have created a new item type from this item identifier. Let's change these values into a meaningful name. So again, df of new type equals df of new type dot map, create a dictionary, again the old values to the new values. Here we are using map to change the values. Before that we are using replace. Both are same, you can use any one of that. Here FD, that represents food. Now NC represents non-consumable. Now DR represents drinks. Okay, we have assigned that. Let's check the value counts of this. Dot value counts. Run it. Now we have three broad categories of food, not consumable, and drinks. We can use this non-consumable category in the fat content to represent this low fat content or regular content is non-edible. We will create a new attribute here. So that will be df dot location, df of new item type equals non-consumable. I already told you the first subscript represents the condition. It will have true or false. It will support only Boolean values. If it's true means we will change the item fat content. Item fat content. equals non-edible. Non-edible. This will create another category for this item fat content. Again, let's display the value counts. Df of item fat content dot value counts. Run it. Now we have three categories in item fat content. So this non-edible products are not consumable. Like this, we can create new insights from the available data sets. It depends on your creativity and business knowledge. So make sure you have a meaningful category while creating the new attributes. After this, we need to create another new category. Let's go to the data set. As you can see in the outlet establishment here, the year is established as it is. So if we import directly like this, it will decrease the performance of the model because these are some big values. In order to avoid this, we will use some small numbers. How can we create the small numbers? We can use log transformation or normalization, but for this, we will create a new attribute. The data set is collected at 2013, that's the year. So we will negate 2013 minus this particular year. We will have a new value that is lesser. If we consider 2009 means 2013 minus 2009, we will have 4. That means the outlet has been established 4 years ago. Like that, we can create a new attribute. Let's create that now. Create small values for establishment year. Df of outlet years equals 2013 minus df of outlet establishment here. So currently I'm using 2013. If the data set is collected at 2020 means you use the corresponding value and you will get a meaningful values as the output. Okay, let's run it. Now the values are created. Let's check the values. Outlet years. Now the values are small, so the model performance won't be affected by this. Okay, that is for creation of new attributes. For the exploratory data analysis, we will do a quick exploration of the data. Before this, let's print the data. df.head. Now these are the data we have. Let's do some visualization here. sns.dispplot. Dispplot is for numerical values. df of item weight. That's the first one. Let's run it. So in this, we can see the item weight mean is higher because we have filled some of the missing values with the mean. Here the mean is around 10 and most of the items have value 0. It means that the particular item don't have enough data. Instead of assigning mean, we can also change it to 0, or instead of this 0 values, we can fill it with a mean value. It depends of your preference. Let's go for the next one. Next one is item visibility. Let's check that. Let's copy this and paste it. Item visibility. Okay, for the item visibility, we have somewhat left skewed values, but we try to avoid 0. Here, as you can see, this value is gone to peak because we filled all the 0 values with the mean. That's why it's peaking at the center. All the values are small only, so we don't need to worry about some performance decrease because of that. Okay, let's leave some space. Next one is item MRP. Again, item MRP. So the price of the item ranges from around 30 to 260 or 270. So the price ranges from different categories. You can also create a new category from this. Here you can see 4 types of bills. So you can split these bills as a new category, costly products or cheap products like that. We can have a new category. It may give a additional insight or some performance boost in the model. And the next one is item outlet sales. Let's display it. So the sales is also ranging from 0 to 14,000. So the values are so high in this, and the data set is also left skewed. Like in the previous project, we need to normalize this. Let's normalize it right away. I'm going to use a log transformation. You can use min-max normalization or standardization. Okay, let's use log transformation. Log transformation df of item outlet sales equals np dot log. So in order to avoid some infinite values, we will just add +1 of df of item outlet sales. Let's run it. Now again, display this. Now, as you can see, the values are somewhat minimal. So the model can able to predict with less error. And previously it is left skewed. Now it's almost equal to uniform distribution or normal distribution. So this is a better distribution. Let's go for categorical attributes. For categorical attributes, we will use count plot df of the first one is item fat content. Item fat content, run it. So the lower fat content is higher and in between regular, and the non-edible is around 1500. From this visualization, we can observe that most of the products are low fat content and only less products are non-edible. Let's leave some space. Okay, let's copy this. And the next one is item type. Wow, there is so many values. We need to make it bigger in order to display this. To fix this issue, we need to use matplotlib pyplot function. So in the import modules, import matplotlib.pyplot. You need to import like this only. So be sure to change this. You can also directly use matplotlib, and from that you can use pyplot. I'm just directly using as it is. Run it. Here we will just change the figure size. Plot dot figure size 10, 5. Still not visible. Let's say 15. Now it's somewhat visible. Still it's overlapping. Okay. You can use this option to increase the figure size. I will just comment it. In order to display this label in a vertical manner, we will get the unique labels from this. Let's say L equals df of item type dot unique. Let's change this to list. Now let's assign this to a chart variable. Now chart dot set xtick labels. Labels equals L and rotation equals 90. Let's run it now. As you can see, the labels are displayed in the vertical manner. So you can change this rotation to any other degree in order to display this label. Now it's clear. Most of the foods are snacks and fruits and vegetables. That's a large amount of distribution. You can ignore this part. Okay, let's go to the next one. SNS.count plot df of outlet establishment year. Let's run this. So here all the outlets are established in equal distribution. Here only one have more number of counts, that is 1985. At that period, more number of stores are established. Let's go for another one. Outlet size. Now most of the outlets are small and medium is ranging only 3000 and high is so less, it's around 900 only. So the large amount of stores are small stores, only few of them are bigger. And the next one is outlet location type. So here we can see this is also somewhat equal distribution. There is not much difference between three tiers. So we can just leave it as it is. And the next one is outlet type. Run it. As you can see, some of them are overlapped. We just ignore that. It will just take our time. So most of the supermarket are supermarket type 1 and the groceries also less. You can also combine these three supermarket types into one. Maybe they have some unique type of style of supermarket. So we will just leave it as it is, but it is so much biased to supermarket type 1. And this is the end of our exploratory data analysis. Okay, let's go for correlation matrix. So to create a correlation matrix, create a variable core equals df of correlation function. Pandas has a correlation function to find a correlation matrix. After that, we will display this in a heat map. That will be sns.heatmap. The variable r0 equals true to display the values of the correlation, and cmap equals cool warm. You can use any type of cmap if you want. There are numerous type of cmap. So just choose what is suitable for you. Let's run it. So in cool warm, item weight and the establishment here, somewhat correlation. I don't know what is the correlation between those two. And you can see a clear difference between outlet establishment here and outlet years because we are derived the outlet years from the establishment year. That's why it's have highly negative correlation. So we will remove this outlet establishment here. When we are processing the model, we will see which attributes have the major impact. Item outlet sales is the output variable. So from this column, we will get to know which is highly impacting the prediction variable. So if you follow this, item MRP is the major impact to the item outlet sales. So this is important variable. Other than that, not much variables are contributing. Maybe the categorical variables have some major part for the prediction of output. That's it for the correlation. After that, we need to do label encoding and one-hot encoding. Let's do that. Label encoding. So for label encoding, we need to import the module from sklearn dot preprocessing import label encoder. So LE equals label encoder. This is for initialization. First, we will convert the outlet identifier into numerical values because based on the specific stores, the prediction may affect. So we will just convert that categorical attribute into label encoder for model improvement. df of outlet. This is a new variable. Le dot fit transform. df of outlet identifier. So this outlet identifier is like this, out 049, like that it's having. We will just convert that into numbers. So the model can process this also as a numerical value. Or you can just extract this last two numbers, but both are same here. So we will just use label encoding. Okay, that is for outlet. And we need to convert all the categorical attributes. We will create a categorical columns list. Cat call equals, what are the columns we have as category? Let's display the head. So df.head, we have item fat content. Let's copy this, paste it. Like this, we have to do this for all the things. Item type, outlet size, outlet location type, outlet type, and the last is new item type. Okay, these are the categorical columns. We will convert each one of those for column in categorical column. Df of column equals le dot fit transform df of column. So for this column, it will change the corresponding attributes into numerical values. Let's run it. So all the categorical attributes will be converted to numerical. So the model can be able to access those values. Okay, that's it for label encoding. For getting more prediction in the model, we will use one-hot encoding. One-hot encoding. One-hot encoding is similar to label encoding. Here, one-hot encoding, it will create a new column for each category. Like here we have small, medium, and high, right? So it will create a new column like outlet size small, outlet size medium, outlet size high. Like that, it will create a new column. And for the corresponding column, if it's medium means it will be 1 and the other columns will be 0. Based on the research, one-hot encoding will improve the accuracy like 0.2 to 0.5, but it will take huge amount of time for training the model. That is the only disadvantage. Other than that, one-hot encoding is a better way of encoding the categorical variables. Instead of doing this label encoding, you can directly go for one-hot encoding for the categorical variables. If you do this after that means it will just add 0, 1, 2 like that. It will add the column types. Let's do the one-hot encoding now. df equals pd dot get dummies. Dummies means it will represent one-hot encoding. The data set is df. What are the columns we need to create one-hot encoding? So that will be columns equals, except item type, we will include all the variables because item type have so many values. If we have so many values means we will have so many number of features. So we will remove that. Okay. After that, let's run this df.head. Now we have 26 features. That is pretty reasonable. If you have more than 100 features means it will take a large amount of time for training the model. Let's see the variables here. Here outlet location type 0, 1, 2. When the corresponding location type is present for that particular row, it will be 1. Otherwise, it will be 0. Like this, it has done for all the categorical variables. If you directly do this without using label encoding means it will just add the corresponding category instead of this numerical numbers. So you can use either of those. It depends on your preference. So I'll just done both of this. But if you ignore label encoding means make sure you convert this item type because it is a category too. If you include item type in one hot encoding means it will add so many columns in our data set. Okay, let's go for train and split. We need to get the input and output variables in a separate variable. X equals df dot drop. We need to drop some of the columns. What are the columns we need to drop? We need to drop outlet establishment here because we already found another variable for that is outlet years. Apart from that, we need to drop the identifiers of item and outlet. So item and outlet. And we need to ignore the output variable. That is item outlet sales. This. Okay, that is for input. Now for output, df of item outlet sales. Run it. Here we need to change this to input split because this is not a classification problem. This is a regression problem. We can train the entire data set and we can compare actual and prediction values. Based on that, we will get the error. From that, we can infer the model. And as usual, we can also use cross validation. It will automatically split the data set for our need. Okay, run it. Now the input split has been done. Let's create a function for model training. We need to import some models for cross validation and metrics from sklearn dot model selection import cross val score. Okay, that is done. From sklearn dot metrics import mean squared error. That's the metrics we are going to use here. Now we need to define the function def train. We need to give the model and the input and output arguments model comma x comma y. First, let's train the model. Train the model. Model dot fit x, that is input, y, that is the output. After the model is trained, predict the training data set. Training set prediction equals model dot predict x. After that, we will use the cross validation. Perform cross validation CV score equals cross val score. Again, the model comma input and the output. The scoring function scoring equals, we are using mean squared error, right? So mean squared error. Based on that, it will give us a score from cross validation. Now we will print the model report. Print model report print MSC, that is mean squared error, comma mean squared error of y comma prediction. And after that, we need to display the CV score. Print CV score CV underscore score. Now we have defined the model. Run it. Let's import some basic models for the start. From sklearn dot linear model import linear regression and ridge regression, and the last one is lasso. Okay, let's define the model. Model equals linear regression. Let's normalize the data set further. So we will use normalize equals true. Now train model comma input and output. After training the model, we can visualize the attributes which give more importance to the model. To do that, coef equals pd dot series model dot coef underscore and the labels, that is the columns, x dot columns dot sort values. If you don't sort values means the visualization will be improper. So we will use sort values. Now let's display it. Coef dot plot kind equals bar and title equals model coefficients. Okay, let's run this. So while running the model, it throws some error. If we see those error means it's saying mean squared error is not a valid scoring value. I think they changed the scoring measures. So these are the list of scoring measures that are available to us. You can use any of the scoring measures here. Now I'm going to use negative mean squared error because these are the normal values we are going to use, but they just added negative here. We'll just copy this and paste it here. Let's run this and again run this. Now the model is running. We'll just delete it and we need to take the average of this. So for that, CV underscore score equals to take the average of this, and we also need to take the absolute value. So np dot abs and np dot mean CV score. Okay, run it, again run it. Now we have a valid report. Here the mean squared error is 0.288 and the cross validation score is little higher, that is 0.289. So both are almost same. Let's define the CV metric. So CV equals how many folds we want to split. We will split into 5 folds. If we run this means we again have a same metric. I think by default it's 5. You can change the metric here if you want. And if you see the importance of the attributes, these are the positive coefficients and these are the negative coefficients. In between, there are no coefficients at all. It means these features, it's not providing that much information. Let's see what is the main content. It is item fat content and new item types and the outlet location. These are the features that are providing positive coefficients. What are the major negative coefficients? That is new item type, item fat content, and again the item fat content. So this model majorly gets the features from this fat content and the item type. Let's do this for ridge and lasso. Copy the same and use it for ridge. Just change it to ridge. Same normalize is true because these are all some basic models. We need to normalize the data. That's why I'm using it directly. Let's leave some space. Okay, run it. Here the mean squared error is increasing, but we have to decrease the error. When the error is so much less means, it means that the model is performing so much better. And here it's picking some other different features. It is item visibility, outlet size. Let's do this for lasso. Run it. Here lasso, it's not picking anything. I think it's normalized so much. Let's remove this and run it. If you remove those means, it's just taking item MRP as a major coefficient. Other than that, it's not taking any of those. We already seen that item MRP has higher correlation. I think because of that, it's taking item MRP. Let's go for some advanced models from sklearn.tree. import decision tree regressor. Same as before, we need to use decision tree regressor. Remove this attribute. We are going to use the default attributes here. Here, instead of model coefficients, we will say feature importance. Feature importance, because it is considered as features. And here also, instead of coefficients, feature importances. Okay, let's run this. Now, as you can see, the MSE is so much decreased. Here you need to see this e power minus 34. That means it trained the model perfectly with the training set, and the prediction with the training set is so much better that the model's error is so much less. If you see the cross validation score is it's 0.5, it means it's not performing that much well. While taking the performance measure of the model, you always take the cross validation score as a metric. So based on the cross validation score, we will pick the better model. So here it is 0.76, here it is 0.42, and here it is 0.28. Don't think that linear regression is a basic model. Sometimes basic model itself gives so much accuracy to us. So always start with the basics. Don't ignore that. As you can see, the advanced model, that is decision tree regressor, is showing a more cross validation score. We will just sort it ascending. Ascending equals false. Run it. Now we can see the items which are giving importance. So it's are also giving outlet type 0 and item MRP having more importance. Let's go for some other model. From sklearn.ensemble, import random forest regressor. Okay, we don't, just copy this because all the models are tree based. Run it. Now it's taking some time because it's doing some cross validation. Okay. Yes, this is somewhat a better MSC. Here you can see it didn't overfit like it did in decision tree. If you overfit means it will display the accurate data as it is. Because of the random forest, it includes some randomness, and the cross validation score, it decreased from 0.5 to 0.3. Similarly, let's train another model, that is extra tree regressor. Run this. Okay, it done it. Here also the MSC gone e power minus 28. It fits the model so perfectly, but the cross validation is 0.32. It's just bigger than random forest. So we will ignore this model too. So out of the 6 models we have trained, linear regression has a top performance with a cross validation score of 0.28. So here we used a basic model to train. You can also use hyperparameter tuning and grid search in order to fine tune the model more efficiently. Apart from these models, we have so many regression models out there. You can try this out as a further work. The models names are CatBoost Regressor, XGBoost, LightGBM, like that. So many models are there. Just import it and use it as it is. That's it for the analysis. The code will be available in my GitHub repository. The link will be available in the description. Yeah, that's it guys. If this video is very helpful to you, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe the channel for future videos. Stay tuned for the next video.